Welcome to Lashback, everyone. I'm Natalyan.
And I'm Phoebe. And today we are talking about the joys of plane travel, of which you, Matt, have quite a lot of experience. What are your
Yeah,
pet peeves?
yeah, I have many, and you'd think that they'd get like easier as you got more experience because I do so many flights. I have done around the world a lot, but they just seem to get worse. Maybe my patience is wearing thin. Um, but there's a number of things that annoy me. I think the key one for me is I always get the aisle seat, and then the person by the window. I don't like it when they leave the window up and it's really bright sunshine. I get it for a while, but then if you fall asleep, pull it down so I'm not blinded by the light.
Blinded by the light.
That's
Don't they
exactly.
make you put it down, though? Don't they ask you to do it? I know they tell you to put it
No.
up when you're landing.
Up when landing or taking off.
Yeah,
So that's fine. I get that. And I find if you want to look out the window, but you do have to, I believe, just because you're sitting by the window, I do think you need to be considerate of the other people too, even though it's your seat. It's not your window,
true.
and I do
I'd have
feel that.
trains as well.
Yeah, like if it's proper blinding you, I get it. Look, I am kind of, there's context to this, but it generally happens to me and I can't see anything, a book or anything. Like this is in the day, obviously, with the bright sunlight. And especially if you're kind of gonna drift off and have a sleep.
Which on long flights you invariably have to, really. I mean, traveling is like plane travel is absolutely knackering,
It
isn't
is.
it? And then you have all of this lugging stuff around and waiting and walking and then waiting and then walking. And then you can't move out of like those seats. You don't move. It's like crazy insane. And the food is rubbish.
Do you know what? I always say this that most things, and we've done a lot of episodes about technology. Most things have improved over time. Air travel's gone the other way. Like they used to, if you watch movies, they used to have big seats, big
Yeah.
meals, all of those things. And now it's just getting less and less and less. They're adding more seats. I've even been on a plane recently where you can quite clearly see they've added a layer of seats down. So the aisle is impossible.
Wow. And didn't Ryanair, I think half memory of reading an article that Ryanair was talking about standing flights.
I have read something about that.
I don't see how takeoff would work.
They'll just
Can you imagine?
won't care about safety, I guess. They'll find a way.
Or you've got you're not sat, you're stood, but with a
Yeah, yeah, I know what you mean.
like those fairground rides.
Yeah. Oh, I couldn't think of
You
anything
remember they
worse.
used to go around.
You're just paying more and more and getting less and less. And you'd think that the seats would have got bigger. And I know, I guess, the whole first class thing and all the different classes, but there's so many classes on some airlines now. So you've got like you're not just economy now. It's basic, basic,
Ah,
basic, 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 basic economy, a little bit less basic economy, economy, premium economy, premium plus economy. And what you're getting for each of those is just you're paying for maybe a nearer seat. You're not getting anything more. I've even been on planes recently where you don't even have the pocket. What you meant to do with your things.
hmm.
That's the plane that I do.
I'm an aisle seat person as well.
I am. A lot of people like to be the window people.
Because
I
at
couldn't
least
even.
no, because when you're in the aisle, at least you get one armrest to yourself.
Yeah, that's
I
something that
hate
came up in my
sharing
research.
hate sharing an armrest.
Or if it's a difficult one though. I have thought this through weirdly because I asked people about this. We've talked about it in research for this. But if you've got the person in the middle, they've got two. Is that fair? Because they're in the middle though.
Well, technically they've got two halves.
Let's not go there, Phoebe. They're in the middle, so they probably deserve them. Or if someone, you can actually share. If I'm little, I'm at the back, and they're at the front of the armrest. There's a way if you just consider it.
I do feel bad for the people that got like really long legs or are really tall.
Yeah.
Because I've got pretty short legs, so my knees might touch, but not much.
Yeah, no, mine's fine. I tell you, the worst thing you can do is to upgrade to business, start traveling business. I've always said this,
Um,
that unless you can maintain it throughout your life financially, don't do it
don't go there.
because it's
Don't cross
horrific.
the line.
I have a flight next week that's not business. It's not business. I'm like, I'm not doing it. It's too expensive. I'm dreading it. I can't stop thinking about how much I'm dreading it. Whereas I like it when it's business, but it was just too much. It's like quadrupled for economy, let alone business in the last couple of
Wow.
years. And I can't do that.
Can't justify it. The thing that we're not talking about here, possibly because we're nice people, is, it's a bit like the London Tube as well. Plane
Yeah.
travel. You're in this aluminium tube, doing something that's a bit unnatural because you're so high and going so fast. Um, and of course, that puts everyone on edge. So the thing about plane travel that I find the most annoying is other people.
Yeah. That's,
It's the other people. I'm sorry. Even
I've
the
always,
people, even my friends that I may well be traveling with. I'm like, that's a mark of a friendship, isn't it? If you could do plane travel together, you're all right.
it's funny you say that because when I've done like, music tours and we've got the plane and stuff like that, I remember my last one I did with a group of us, in a choir, like a vocal group. And they were like, "Oh, we can only get a few of you together, but there's one right at the front. I know no one will." I said, "I'll have that."
Yeah.
I don't want to sit next to people. I like to be on my own in there. I'm going to
I
see you
like
on this
traveling
tour.
alone.
Yeah, I'm going to see you on this tour. And I tell you what, especially if I'm in a good mood, always tend to get really good people. I've got a lot of Facebook friends that I've met on planes that always contacts me. And we've just sat together, had a few whiskies,
You
and
lucky.
had a rant about life, quite frankly.
Yeah, I can make good chat with the people that I might be sat next to. But if you got somebody that likes to kick the seat behind you, or the
Yeah,
person in front that always moves so you can't, your table doesn't stay straight.
yeah, and I just think it's lack of self-awareness because there's only so much you can
Consideration.
do, or lack of consideration. But there is,
Yeah.
on my last flight actually, this teenage girl was in front of me, and she kept kind of doing all of that and laughing around. Then every time she got up, it was a big affair. And I'm like, I get that, there's only so much you can do, but come on, come on.
It's because it's unpredictable. You don't
Yeah,
know
and
what's
I've
going
got
to
a hot
happen next. It
coffee.
puts you on edge, doesn't it?
I've got a hot coffee there as well, or a whiskey.
I once got on a flight for 11 hours, South Africa. The person that I was with and I sat down next to each other, and we ordered gin and tonics. Probably about 50 minutes. Just taken off. And I spilt a whole gin and tonic in his lap.
Nice. Gee,
So
it could
for
be worse
11
though.
hours, he had a wet lap.
Well, it's funny you said that because just before you said that, I was thinking about my flight to Houston
I'm a
recently.
bad person.
And I was going there for a few days and I was wearing the boots that I'm going to wear in all the meetings and the trousers that I'm going to wear in all the meetings. So I was trying to travel light, right? And one of the air hostesses with the trolley, the food cart, whatever you call it, dropped a can of Pepsi and it went flying
No.
everywhere and landed all down my trousers and my boots. The
Oh
thing that
no.
annoyed me, and this is how I became friends with the person next to me, I didn't want to be a Karen. I hate people that use that word. I think, that's done now, but I didn't want to be one. But the thing that annoyed me was that she just looked at me and carried on.
What? Not even a sorry.
No, she just, and I said, can I have some, some tissues or
Somebody
something?
bumps into me in the street and they don't acknowledge me, it makes me absolutely
Yeah,
furious.
accidents
Somebody
happen.
bumps me into the street and looks me in the eye and goes, "Oh, sorry." I think it's quite funny. It's interesting that the power of
Exactly.
acknowledgement.
Exactly. It's not what happens, it's the
Really
way you
interesting
deal
that.
with it. It's not what happens, it's the way you deal with it. And that's some wisdom that my mother gave me. And I
Always the
completely
truth.
agree. And so
Always the
anyway,
truth.
I did not kick up a fuss, that's the wrong phrase, but I said, I need some tissues. You do realise you've just spilt that all over my boots and trousers. And then I ordered a drink, which they were charging me for. I said, I'm not paying for that. and I didn't.
She didn't kick up a fuss at all.
No, but come on, right? Just come on. I think the other thing which I want your thoughts on is those, what are they called? They're called travelators in the airport. So we're talking about the airport now.
Like the flat escalator.
Yeah, I think they're called travelators. They may or may not be.
Yeah, where you get to go extra fast. I
Well,
get really annoyed when people just stand on them. I'm like, this is
there
to
you
make
go.
a really long walk shorter. Move it. I'm probably late. Come on, let's
That's
go.
my point. I'm not going to be what I'm always, especially if you're going from connection to connection. So from
Yeah,
flight
and
to
some
flight.
airports are way confusing. You get a train and a travelator and another lift and another floor and another train.
But the point of the travelator, as you said, is to get you there quicker. If you just stand on it, you ain't getting there quicker because
No,
it's
you've been a
standing
lazy
versus walking.
ass.
Yeah. And I get it if you're, you can't, but just stand to the side. You don't block you and your partner or friend. You
If you
don't stand across the
can't,
whole thing.
if you can't, you should have booked one of the people to drive you about.
Well, I mean, I've contemplated that a few times.
That'd be good, wouldn't it, if you got driven around an airport?
Well, don't be careful what you wish for. Be careful what you wish
No,
for.
because you're like so important or something. Or late.
Yes.
Although,
Yeah, I
no,
want.
I've just had a memory. Oh my gosh. I have been driven at an airport before. Me and my school friend Emma went to Sri Lanka or somewhere, and we thought we
Mm.
had loads of time. And so it was like a morning flight. We were like 18. Let's go to the pub. Yeah. Um, and we thought we had loads of time. And then we heard our names called.
I've never had that.
Oh my God. Our names were called. And we like looked up and we hadn't realised we hadn't walked to our gate.
And it was miles
Why
away.
they were calling us out because we were not checked in at the boarding gate. We thought we were there, right? So they put us in a buggy to get us there.
Buggy thing.
I
Do
just
you know
had
what
that
I
memory.
that's funny. I've never been on one. I've always wanted to be on one. But again, be
Mm,
careful what you wish for. The other thing that I find is that there's two types of people at the airport. Is the people that stand on the travelator and just stand there, and then there's the
mm,
people that are rushing, and they're equally annoying for different reasons. But what
yeah.
happened to me on my recent air flight was I got bumped into so many times, no one was said anything. But I came out of a toilet and the woman was standing right there as I opened the door and it hit her. And I said, "Oh, I'm sorry." And she just looked at me like she wanted to kill me. And I said, "Whoa, maybe don't stand in front of a toilet door." She goes, "I didn't mean to." I
Wow.
went, "I know, but it's just the way you looked at me, like it was my fault." I said, "It's fine. Don't worry about it, but it's not my fault." That's what I said to her. And I thought, what's the point in that? And we kind of like, I wasn't sure if she was going to kick off, but she ended up just going, "Oh, yeah, sorry." So it was fine. But it was just, she looked at me like I'd done some wrong. And I thought, no,
You stood in front of a door that's got no window.
it just, exactly.
We haven't even talked. We need to start finishing up really, but we haven't even talked about customs officials and standing in queues. We need to do another one of these soon.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a whole thing, and I wanted to just quickly reference this that there was a 90s TV show in the UK called Airline. And they based
Oh
it around
yeah.
Easy, was it EasyJet, originally Britannia, and they'd literally just film proper people working there, like very, your first kind of reality TV type thing. And it always just showed the British people complaining constantly. People that turn up to check in half an hour late, 30 minutes late, and they can't check in and they kick off. And there was one funny episode where this guy said the talking clock, which is something you could call up in England and find out the time,
Forgotten about
is
that.
different to your airport clock. And I was not late for check-in by 2 minutes. And your airport clock is wrong. And he just went off. It was hilarious. So we got to do an episode on things that don't exist anymore, like the funny talking clock. But customer
Let's
service
do that.
is another ball game that's probably got worse customer service in it.
There's less people there to help. That's for sure.
But I think they're less tolerant because they know that you're just going to travel. Whereas when plane travel started, it was let's get customers, you know?
Yeah, let's convince people.
Whereas now
Yeah,
you've
I
got no
mean,
choice.
Heathrow Airport takes 20 million people a year or something go through it. It's ridiculous.
It's insane. It's insane. And they know that you're going to, there's certain airlines you have to use if you're going to a certain location as well. It's like you've literally got no choice but to use that airline.
Mm,
So saying to them, I'm never going to use you again is just a lie.
that's true. That's true. I've lost my bags twice with an airline that I used. First time I was like, right, I'm never going to use them again. But they were cheap. They were the cheapest again, and I lost my bags again.
Because they're cheap. They just can lose your bags.
I mean, yeah.
It's not acceptable. We could talk on forever about this. Let's wrap this one up. But there's plenty of stories, and I'm sure we're going to come back to loads of our topics. But let us know any of your plane travel stories. We want to get all the stories so we can kind of compile them and discuss them more. So let us know, listeners. See you
See you next
later.
week.
See you next week.